We have seen the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in history books and even dramatized in movies. But this story is not about bullets. It's about what came after, or more importantly, what didn't come after. There was no trial for General Dyer, as shown in popular movies. There was no trial for O'Dwyer. If there was something, there was a whitewashed report by the Hunter Commission, and then silence. Until one man broke it. It began in 1919, a year of chaos and tension in British-occupied India. The Rowlatt Act allowed British to arrest anyone without trial, suspending fundamental rights. Public protest spread, and British response was brutal. On April 13, 1919, thousands gathered at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. What followed was one of the most brutal massacres in colonial history. Over 1,000 civilians were killed by British troops under General Reginald Dyer's orders. No accountability and no justice. The British government set up Hunter Commission to investigate the massacre, but it was a whitewash. The report exonerated Dyer and the government, making excuses for the indefensible. But not everyone was happy to accept this. C. Sankaran Nair, an esteemed Indian barrister and a member of Viceroy's Council and a former judge, resigned in protest. He couldn't stand by the system that ignored the truth. So he decided to speak out, and he did it in the most powerful way possible. He wrote a book, and this book was called Gandhi and Anarchy. In it, Nair didn't just criticize British government, he also criticized Mahatma Gandhi. Nair felt that Gandhi's idea of Swaraj, which means self-rule, was too focused on personal morals and non-violence. He said Gandhi believed that if every individual became pure and self-disciplined, India would naturally become free. For Nair, this was too idealistic. He believed that for a country which is ruled by such a brutal empire, this kind of thinking could be dangerous. He believed that this could lead to anarchy, which means a state with no government or order. And India needed a real political power, not just moral strength. But that wasn't the part in the book that got him into legal trouble. The real controversy came in chapter 7, titled The Punjab Atrocities. In this chapter, Nair directly attacked the British actions in Punjab, especially during and after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He wrote that the British cabinet's praise for officials like Lord Chelmsford and Michael O'Dwyer was an insult to Indian public opinion. The government of India made a huge political mistake by not punishing the officials involved and instead protecting them through the Indemnity Act. And the Indemnity Act was a law passed to protect the British officials for their crimes committed during this period in Punjab. This line hit hard. He directly blamed O'Dwyer for everything that happened, not just in Amritsar, but also for aerial bombings in Gujranwala, where the British dropped bombs from the planes to scare and punish protesters. And this part in the book about the Punjab atrocities is what made O'Dwyer to sue Nair for defamation. This court case was not about a war crime or a genocide. It was not even about punishing General Dyer or something of that sort. It was something else. It was a libel case. So what is a libel? Libel is a type of defamation when someone says or writes something false that harms another person's reputation. There are two types of defamation. One is libel, which is defamation for written or published statements. Second is slander, which is spoken or oral statements. In this case, Michael O'Dwyer claimed that Nair's written accusation in the book damaged his public image. He demanded about 1,000 euros in damages, which was a huge sum at that time. And Nair refused. He believed that what he wrote was true and he wasn't going to take it back. As a former member of Viceroy's Council, Nair had information which wasn't available to the public. So this gave him the confidence to place the full blame on O'Dwyer. And he did not fight his own case. He was backed by his lawyer, Bakshi Tek Chand, and a legal firm called Wilson and Company. The case went to trial in 1924 in King's Bench Division, a major part of English High Court, responsible for serious civil cases. The judge was Justice Henry McCarty, and the jury had 12 members, out of which 3 were women. And O'Dwyer was represented by Ernest Charles, a well-known barrister. Nair's defense collected over 120 defense statements from India, from Indian lawyers, doctors, scholars, and even British officials. He accused O'Dwyer of running Punjab with harsh hand and being hostile to educated Indians, and using brutal force to crush both illegal and peaceful political activity. But the odds were stacked against Nair. Of course, this was a British court, at the center of the empire, where loyalty to the empire was more important than the truth. Even the judge, Justice McCarty, seemed biased. He said that General Dyer had been wrongly punished, and his actions were understandable in exceptional circumstances. As expected, the jury sided with O'Dwyer, and Nair was found guilty of libel. O'Dwyer received 500 euros and costs of 20,000 euros. This was a huge amount of money. It was about silencing the criticism. It was about showing the world that if you spoke against the British Empire, you would have to pay the price. But here's the twist. Even though Nair lost the case, he won something far more important, and that was attention. The trial forced the Jallianwala Bagh massacre back into the headlines, not just in India, but across Britain, Europe, and America. People who had never heard about Amritsar were now talking about it. The newspapers covered the trial, and British Empire now suddenly was on trial in the court of public opinion. The courtroom became a stage. where voice of colonized, even if briefly, was heard loud and clear. This case showed that how far the British Empire would go to protect its image, even at the cost of justice. Sir Sankaran Nair lost the case in court, but he lit a fire for the entire world to see.